The dream of a verse is to be heard over the notes, over the keys, even over the beats. To be recognized as the heart of the sound you've embraced with your ears. To hear more than a melody. To hear the meaning of the commentary voiced in rhyme, just a verse. In other words, I don't want you to be so infatuated with me that that's all you come to see, the image of me, the physicality of me. I want you to see me in my poetry, the flow in me, envision me as just a verse. Lines of thoughts and dreams resting on my mind, words trying to find a home in your heart, lyrics that spark different levels of intelligence within you, i.e., I want to make you think, become a part of me, feel what I feel. My pain, my joy, my disappointments, my love, my anger towards the one below, my gratitude to the one above. Everything that lives in me is in my verse, in me. See me through me, the unity within me, between me and my visual being and my lyrical beginnings. Who is me? Just a verse.
What it do, beautiful people, my melanated kings and queens. Welcome to It's Just a Conversations. I am your host, Just a Verse. Let's converse.
Yeah, I love it when you talk, baby. You so smooth, like butter, cocoa. This is just a conversation. Tell me about it, do my mood and observation. Tell the nerves to be patient, but we gon' take it, we gon' not be complacent. We can run a race, touch by the history and all our innovation. We just having conversation. Tell me about it, do my mood and observation.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Man, it's a good week. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. I'm still breathing,
That's always a good thing. That's a plus. You know what I'm saying? Thermostat energy, okay?
Oh, man. I'm set to a nice 72 degrees Fahrenheit.
There you go. There you go. That's a nice, cool place to be. You know what I'm talking about? Everybody adjust.
Yeah, here we go.
So we're going to jump right in. This month, we are talking about why some people leave the church, take breaks from the church, never come back to the church, only visit the church. We're having some good conversations on that. Last week, I was able to talk with Shay, and we talked about some personal experiences and things like that. And just so I make it clear from the beginning of the show, as I think I made it clear the last show, this is not me telling people don't go to church. This is not me telling people that church is a bad place to be. My goal more for these conversations is for those that are adamant about church to simply understand where some people might be coming from, either to respect it, or if you see that there's some sort of disconnect there that can be filled, then so be it. But the first step is understanding. And a lot of times when we have these conversations, churchgoers, in my experience, tend to automatically jump to the defense. I've told a couple of people about this subject, Jason, and the first thing they do is, well, yeah, because I want to be able to tell them that this is, whoa, hold on, pause. That's not what this is about. This is not an angry type of thing. This is nothing like that. It's just opening eyes, because I think that people's eyes should be open to what's going on. And I promised them last week that we were going to, they were like, why didn't you have a preacher on there or something? I said, I have Jason. It's okay. We're good. We're good.
Disclaimer, I am not a preacher. I'm not even an acting pastor. So
he's not labeled anything, okay? But I identify him.
I'm a turtleneck with no writing on it. Put it that way. I used to call my mom used to try to make me wear those, and I call them nothing shirts. I don't want to wear those nothing shirts. So I'm a nothing shirt in this game. No teams, no number on the jersey, none of that. It's blank.
It's just nothing shirt. It can't just be plain. It's just nothing. But yeah, so I wanna jump in this. You didn't get a chance to see, but there's a show that I watch, and I talked a little bit about it last week. But there's a show that I've been watching. It's a new show, Grown in Gospel. So everybody has an understanding. It's a group of friends who grew up in the church. Many of them are children of people that, you know, we're familiar with. So we have Dorinda Clark Cole, her daughter's on there. Fred Hammond's daughter's on there. There's a couple different ones, right? And then there's just people who've grown up in the church, and all of them, which makes the show so dope. First of all, disclaimer: I think the show is dope. Okay, but there's many of them. They've all gone in their own direction. One is a producer. One is a manager. One is an artist, an R&B artist. One is kind of like, I just want to be on positive vibes. I don't want to. One is a gospel singer. So there's a bunch of different people in there, much like how we grow up with a bunch of different people. What I love about this show is that to me, it seems so real, down to the mess of it all. And I bring that show up because I'm watching these episodes, and you have situations where you have one cast member talking about another cast member, talking about how she dressed and she looked like, you know, Salvation Army-ish. You know, you have one that throws away another person's shoes because those are cheap and I just got you expensive ones. You have people who used to be a stripper. Others used to be singing in the strip club. You have all different people from all different, like they taken different paths. It's beautiful because of the mess, and it's showing people, in my opinion, that just because someone goes to church, and especially when they're the child of someone that you look up to and you've decided to place on a pedestal, doesn't make them automatically these people, right? At the same time, I think if you pay attention to it, you also understand how the Kim Burrells of this world are able to feel so comfortable speaking the way that she did a few months back. And if you listen to the videos of these things, congregation is, yes, there's only a few people that's uncomfortable. And much like the brother said during this whole being expelled from in Tennessee this week, we have Justin, Jones and Pearson. But he said, after the man talked down to him, he said the reason why he's comfortable doing this is because basically this is the expectation. That the expectation is set that this is okay. This is acceptable, right? So that's the reason why when the Republican talked down to him like a child, he's like, no one would like be talked to like that. But you're doing this because this is the atmosphere that we've set. And I believe that's the case. Now, as everyone knows, I don't go to church. I might visit every once in a while, but I don't go to church. My personal relationship with God seems to have gotten stronger once I got the outside influences out of whatever. But a problem that I've had while going to church was this air of, we are of Christ, so therefore we are better than those worldly people. So because I am better than these worldly people, I need to make sure I teach them so that hopefully they'll get on this level. That's the way that I felt oftentimes. And it's an uncomfortable feeling, especially when you know you're not perfect within yourself. So with me saying all of that and setting the tone of this, what are your initial thoughts? When I brought this to you and I said, this is what I want to talk about this month, what are your initial thoughts? And then if you could tie it into maybe a little bit of what I've been talking about the last couple minutes.
I would say that, when you first mentioned it, I think to me, it was a moment of reflection because I had to think to myself, like, what have I experienced? Because I think that the initial terminology you used when you approached me with the topic was church hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to think about to myself, well, what does that mean to me? Like what? And what does it mean to me? And then what is the general meaning when people say church hurt? And I had to kind of sit with that for a while to kind of think of, does my idea what church hurt is match the general understanding? You know, because we do live in a world where words can take different meanings depending on, you know, societal structure, culture, things of that nature. And so I think I came to the conclusion that generally, and you can correct me if I'm this, generally church hurt is either intentional, unintentional, or perceived hurt inflicted by either members of a church collectively or an individual that is in, let's say, higher status or authority within the church body. That's the conclusion I came to. I mean, is that general?
I'd add it. I mean, I'd agree with that. And I'd also say it doesn't necessarily have to be from someone in a higher position. And I'm going to let you continue. The reason why I say that is because a lot of my church hurt came from my peers. Because my assumption in growing up is if we're in church and we're all brothers and sisters, it's what we say. We literally call people brother so-and-so, sister so-and-so. Then of all the people in this world, you should not be the one to hurt me. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's from people in a higher, but just people who are supposed to be part of this body with you.
Oh, well, yeah. I think I included that with the first part where I said a group of people that are affiliated.
Oh, I thought you meant like the church board doing something.
No. I mean like a collective of people within the organization. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then I added on top of that a person who has leadership authority. So I kind of blended those two together. And so I had to ask myself, have you ever experienced either directly, indirectly, unintentional, intentional, or perceived hurt in that manner? And I would have to say all three, right? I've received, perceived where someone made a statement to me and I don't, looking back, I didn't take it as though they were, I took it as though maybe they might mean something by it, but as I grew up and I understood, they just used the wrong language and they weren't meant to. So I perceived that they were. I give an example. My mom, my parents liked suits, right? So I came up wearing suits. So I love suits. Sometimes I go to work and I dress up. I got my little lapel flower on there, my handkerchief folded in three.
Come through.
Stuff like that. So I love dressing up. And I was probably like 8 or 9, and my mom used to give me these suits, man, and so I went in the bathroom, and there was these younger guys in there. They probably a little older than me, maybe like they late teens, and they was like, "Oh, dog, look at the little pimp, boy. You like a little pimp, bruh. You like a little pimp." So I remember going to my mom and asking her like, "Yo, what's up, pimp?"
What's up, pimp?
And my mom lost it. Who tell you that?
Oh, no.
Show them to me. And so, I didn't want to get them in trouble or nothing like that. Like my mom going there and telling, "Why you calling my son a pimp?" And then now I'm looking bad.
Right.
So I didn't tell her. I was like, I don't really know who they are. So, it's the way she took it made me internalize it that way. But as I grew up, they were just saying, bro, like, you sharp, bro. Like, you sharp, right? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's the unintentional, or the perceived. Or it could be perceived or unintentional, right? It can be other two. Then I've had intentional where my church used to have like these, these Saturday evening sessions where they would just pick a topic and discuss. And I think they were just talking about, sometimes it's stuff that it seems trivial, but it could cause, I guess, issues amongst people in the church. But this one had to do with, appearances. And during the time, they just started talking about like, young people these days, they always had that little thing to it. So after the fact, 2 ladies came to me and I don't want to get wrong what they said, but I'll tell you how I felt. They were saying, and one even said, she said like like, yeah, this is the things that we're talking about. You know, look at how you're dressed. Look at your hair. You look like a thief. You know, and I was just like I do. Like for a split second, you know, you kind of just like, dang, like, do I? And then I thought about it. No, that's just your preconceived idea. There's some context there. These are women who are from the islands, right? And they have an expectation of how young Black men should look, specifically Christian men. And so maybe that wasn't intentional to hurt me. Maybe it was unintentional. They were just kind of speaking of what they perceived. And you know, so I had to kind of deal with that, you know. And then I would say, like, a person that intentionally, like, I knew they were trying to hurt me. Let's just say I don't want to talk about that one because it's too many moving parts. It'll take all day, and I've already made peace with the person or whatever. But it's just something that made me feel really bad, and I felt like I couldn't talk to that person if I saw him anymore. You know what I mean? And so that's my experience. And so, yeah, I would have to admit, based on the criteria or the kind of explanation I gave of what I think it means, my definition and my experience, yeah, I have experienced church hurt, and it's not a fun thing. I thank God that it didn't completely chase me away from church attendance and or doctrinal beliefs, you know what I mean, and or just belief in God, period. It didn't have that power. What they didn't have that power over me, or at least I didn't allow it to, given my circumstance. So I think that's my experience. And so after I thought about that and I thought that through, my perspective on church hurt has changed a little bit. I believe I'm a lot more charitable when it comes to people talking about church hurt, rather than hearing the word or hearing the phrase and automatically assuming this is what they're talking about. It's almost like what they do with the word woke today. You know what I mean? There's a negative connotation or positive, whatever, just because you hear it. Now I'm more likely to say, okay, well, what happened? You know, if you don't, if you feel comfortable, what exactly happened? And then, you know, you could talk to those things. So that was my experience when you brought that to me.
I used to be the same way. When I heard church hurt, and I've said it a few times to people, not to the people that's feeling the church hurt, but I've just had conversations about this, and I'll say all that it is that such and such had these expectations, it didn't happen, and now they mad at God and having a temper tantrum. That's how I looked at it for a very long time, until I saw how these things affected my life. And then I realized, because I thought I was Superwoman. I thought, whatever, I don't care what people think about me, so on and so forth. But I'm human. So there's a level of me that does care, right? So when it comes to people saying things, a lot of times, this is in general in the world, except that when you're in church and you're constantly being told right from wrong, I feel like you have less of an excuse. But there's no consideration of where the person is in their mental and emotional state. So the reason why I realize now, the reason why it got me to the point where it's like, I don't want to deal with y'all, is because I do have mental health struggles that I've been struggling with forever. I had low self-esteem till about 2018 bars, but I had low self-esteem. You know what I'm saying? So if people are talking about me, that's why the last few years of me going to church, I went above and beyond to make sure I always looked on point. I mean, always. That was like I'm going to go and get a word, but in the meantime, I'm going to look like this, because I don't want nobody to say, I want them, if you want to look at me, you looking at me because daggone, she killing it. You know what I'm saying? Because of all the things. I've said it many times. I was a tomboy growing up. Only time you saw me in dresses was at church. And 9 times out of 10, if I could, this was during the Boyz II Men era, I would have on a tie. I would have on a skirt, but it's a denim skirt, so it could look as close to jeans as possible. You know what I'm saying? And I'm so I already have my insecurities. And then to hear people talk about me and make me feel as if I'm less than, and then there were times, even in my adult years, where someone gets upset with me. And now there's a particular young lady, and I'm not going to call her name, but she and I have never had crosswords with each other. However, we have gone through many periods where we don't talk to each other because somebody she knows is mad at me. And the moment they make things right with me, she starts to speak to me again. And I already have abandonment issues. I already have separation anxiety. I already have trust issues. So to have people jump in and out my life at their own convenience, or when I was ahead of in the music department, I'm the minister of music, everybody loves me. The moment I step down, I'm like, I'm not coming back. It's whatever. I remember one specific time in Georgia where this one young lady had an issue with me because I was dating somebody that she used to talk to. Keep in mind, she and I are not friends. We say happy Sabbath, but we don't talk, we don't get down like that. And I was trying, because we were on the same praise team, I was trying to talk to her. I called her outside and was just trying to be like, yo, we can't be, because we were doing a concert the next day. We can't have a concert and be telling people praise God and everything, and you and I are beefing with each other. So I just want to tell you, I don't have any problem with you, whatever. Let's squash this. She was like, whatever. And she went back inside. Next day I come and I'm ready to sing. And I get pulled to the side because everyone knows that I always carry a knife. I made a comment to the keyboard player where I was like, this girl keep trying me. And I'm trying to be cool with her and she keep trying me. And everybody knows I walk around. I always have this knife. I always play with it, especially when I'm nervous. But besides one incident that happened well before then with another young lady, I've never even done anything to anyone. But I'm called aside the next day after I'm dressed and everything. No one called me the night of, nothing. They had a meeting without me and decided that, they heard that I tried to attack her with the knife. And therefore, I could not sing. Now, keep in mind, months later, a rumor went around about them and their things that was actually, my understanding, true. And they all left, but they couldn't understand why I was upset because they didn't actually just come and talk to me and find out what happened. You decided to listen to her when she told, because when we were talking one-on-one, I didn't have it out or anything. This is just me and her having a conversation. There's nothing in my hand. There's nothing. When I went and spoke to the thing, it was in my pocket. I started fiddling with it. And she took that, or somebody took that and decided to say that I was trying to attack her. No questions asked. And that was my final straw. That's when I walked away from that church and most churches until that guy that I was dating. I ended up going to a church with him, and then I stuck around there for a little while until I moved out here. But people don't understand the power of their words, especially when you're in a church environment, because there was no conversation. Are you okay? Because let's say I did try to attack her with a knife, right? You're not going to ask me if I'm okay? What would cause me to do something like that over something stupid like this? You're not going to ask about my mental health? Don't you think I would need some mental health help if this is what I'm doing? But there was no conversation about how we can make this better. There was no conversation about anything. What's your point? What's your side of things? Nothing. We had a meeting and we decided that you can't sing today. And I was like, okay. I was upset. I was in tears. I was so upset because anybody who know me know how I love, singing and being on the praise team and stuff. And anyone called me up front to go praying and stuff, and all of them rolling their eyes while this is happening. It was a whole bad situation. When I walk away with a bitter taste in my mouth and people brush it off as, oh, that's just church hurt. You need to understand that it's about God. It's not about, well, where was that same energy? You understand what I'm saying? When I was in 1988, was the last time I went to Jamaica, and we were at the market, and the lady said, "She fatty." Oh my goodness. I said, the lady done called me fat. I went home, lost hella weight. I was 108 pounds until I had my car. Okay. Later on, I learned it was a compliment because I was a little girl and I was chubby, but I didn't know. But because I didn't receive that well, I didn't go back to Jamaica until 2018. Words are crucial. And I think that it hits even harder when it's coming from a group of people who have presented themselves as the example. Because again, what do people say? Sometimes you the only Jesus people gonna see. So it's kind of like, and it's like, for a while, I will not lie, for a while, I was questioning, God, do you even exist? I had to go through my phases by myself. I didn't want any influences. First of all, I need to know if there's anyone that exists, because I'm not even understanding why I got to go through this. And I'm tired of the excuse of how God said we about to be miserable on this earth. Like, for real, I'm supposed to be striving and serving you, and you promise that I'm just going to be miserable down here? That's not okay, right? So I had to go through all of that. And then eventually I found, when I got all of the noise out of my head and I started sitting in meditation, it wasn't even meditation to talk to God. It was just meditation to clear my mind. And when I started doing that, I started feeling more relaxed. Then I started to feel a connection. And then I realized as I was growing up, I was connected to the church body. And I don't know if I was ever truly, truly, truly connected with God. You understand what I'm saying? Like, am I talking crazy?
Yeah. I was talking to Shannon this morning about the topic, and she brought up something really interesting. She used this term, and I think it coincides with church hurt. I think sometimes they come in pairs, like the bun or two pieces of bread and a sandwich. You may have the church hurt either on the top or the bottom, and this other slice of bread is called church. What she say? Church disenchantment. I said, can you break that down for me a little bit? And she was like, you came in looking or thinking to find one thing, and you get there and you realize that thing you were looking for, either it's there but a debased, degenerate form of what you were looking for, or it's not there at all. And sometimes, I just thought about that. I said, sometimes you have two things going on, right? You have a person disenchanted, and then the hurt comes in, and now the package is complete. It's not everybody, but in some instances, a person, they came in looking for camaraderie and friendship and acceptance, to be liked, and when they came in, they found cliques. And then someone from a clique then says something to them, and now you get this chemical reaction. It's like, not only are they just like, I don't want to come to this church, they're like, I don't want to go to any church. As a matter of fact, I don't even want this religion at all. I don't want this thing at all. And so sometimes there's it's a two-part type of thing. So I thought that was interesting when she told me that.
Very, very. I remember the last church that I went to, a friendship started to form between three of us. and we'd end up, going out to eat together after church. We were just pretty much together all the time, whether we were on the phone or whatever. And I remember one week, I think we were getting ready to go to a second service, but whatever it is, the three of us were sitting in the car, in a car. And one of the ministers came up and he said it the most, I couldn't even be mad at him, but he basically gave us a heads up. You guys are starting to present as a clique. And I want you to be careful. I'm not saying you guys can't be friends, but you're starting to present as a clique. And when he said that, it kind of hit me because I don't like cliques. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I don't. There's a difference between a group of friends that like to hang out with each other and a clique. A group of friends, to me, a group of friends that like to hang out with each other, they have more of an openness to them. So you might join the group of friends. You might become one of the friends in some point. They have an openness. But cliques tend to be more closed off, in my opinion.
Exclusive.
Right, it's exclusive. Mm-hmm. So when he said that, we adjusted immediately because none of us realized this was and I'm so grateful for those ladies, even though we're not as close these days, but both of those ladies as well, that I think back at it, they were both like, oh, wow. All of us was like, oh, wow. You know what I'm saying? And we started making sure other people came along when we went up to the chicken spot to get something to eat or whatever.
Yeah, but that goes to show that you guys, in some instances, in some shape or form, had experience with cliques that were negative. And so when you were starting to be to appear, or there's a potential that you might be labeled as that very thing that you shun, then it causes you to make some adjustment. I think the issue is that we have is, and I would speak as Christians, is that there comes a time in your Christian experience where you start to become that thing that you shun. And rather than admit it and make a course correction, you double down and justify it. Because there's no way that I could be that way again. I've been saved and sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost.
You gotta know it.
But unfortunately, that's not the image you get biblically of, especially those who are mentioned in Hebrews 11 in the hall of faith. These people had significant moral issues, right? But it had nothing to do with their good deeds or bad deeds while they're mentioned in the hall of faith. It is because despite all of those things, they never sold out. And they always had their allegiance to Yahweh, to God, and that carried them through. And so they never sat around and said, I'm not this and I will never be that and not be that. They said, I'm not going to boast, but I'm going to put my faith in God. And I think there is a place in the Christian experience where, in the beginning, you like, man, I got to change my life. Go clean up. Yes, I do. Yeah. What I messed up. Hey. I started my life. I made up my mind. I ain't cussing no more.
I'm not finna do
because
quartet with you today. I already sang a whole AY song last week. I'm not finna do quartet with you this week.
So you go through that phase where you want to make some serious course correction because you heard the message of the gospel and the saving power of Jesus Christ, and you understand that it is not of your works, right? But it was salvation by salvation through Jesus Christ, right? By faith. That is what gives you your status and not the works of the law. And you understand that. But at the same time, you're like, I love this message so much. And this is my hope. And so I'm going to transform myself to live as Christ did. I'm going to mess up. But the Bible says you have an advocate with the Father, that even when you mess up, all you got to do is come to him and say, look, Father, I messed up. And you have that forgiveness there. And it doesn't mess up your situation. Because I once heard that which you did not achieve by moral perfection, you cannot lose by moral imperfection. And so you understand that, and you're going through that process, and you're happy and you're changed. You want to love everybody, but you understand the type of person that you were and who you are, and you're making those adjustments, sanctification. And then you get to a point where you hit this plateau where you're like, I done all the things that that the Lord has told me to do. And it's just my duty to not to preach the gospel, but to beat people with the gospel, right? Because I need them to be sanctified as I am. Be ye perfect, for I am perfect. Not the Lord thy God is perfect, but I am perfect. And you get to that stage. And you know what? In all honesty, you're supposed to get to a place where you have an understanding of God and holy things, and you reach the knowledge, and your behavior you should have some visible changes by the fruits. You will know them, but not to the point where you've reached deity already. Right?
And that's the problem.
And so some people stay right there, and they never come down. And so everything that they do is now excusable because they're out that level. But there comes a time in every believer's life where you're going to mess up really bad. And you're going to go, yeah! And it could either do two things. One, it could put you in denial and say it was something else. It had nothing to do with me. Something else. Blame it on somebody. It was a demon. The spirit of poverty came and he got in my wallet and now I'm broke. Right. Or it was the spirit of fornication that had me cheat. You know what I mean? Like something like
that. It was that
justified
spirit.
Or whatever. Or and then you justify, and then you slowly go back to that place where you were before, and then now you make your house there, you make your bed there. Or you say, dang, I forgot from which I come. And even though this situation happened, it was my fault. I realized that my true place is not on the mountaintop, but in front of the cross. And then you start that journey of loving people and being charitable and understanding, because you remember who you were, what you were, and who you still are, right? And the majority of the people who are, in my opinion, who are the perpetrators of church hurt are in that right there in that middle slot. They just believe that they have arrived, and they only waiting for translation. That's all they waiting for. They waiting for that good and grateful day.
I got this earth thing on lock. What you mean?
Know what I'm saying? So I think that, as you grow, you can take those different roads to get there. But knowing that you have you have not more power than God, but you have an extreme responsibility as a Christian. Like it's not even a joke. It's not just a title. You have a huge responsibility to do something that Jesus said. He said, people will know you are my disciples by how you love, not the people in the world, but how you love each other. And so that is a big responsibility. What that means is you got to be even nicer to the people who believe like you,
right,
than anything else. And I think we offer and extend more charitable to the non-believer because we're trying to win them. And the person who's right there in our midst, that we just ignore them, treat them like trash, and they just there, So yeah, it's a problem. I'm sorry, I went on a rant, but I just
you're good, because these are things that need to be said and need to be heard. Like when you get to that place where you're not concerned with your brother or sister that's in there with you, is when you have someone like me that's literally in church picturing ways to die and you have no idea. And then you want to say you have this great spirit of discernment. You know what I'm saying? You get into some churches and people want to prophesy about all types of stuff, but you cannot see the depression that has taken over my life. You cannot see that I am holding on, like, you know what I'm saying? And those are the things. It's like, it's every time I think, usually it'll be music that'll make me be like, dang, I miss church, because I just miss music. I just miss good music, right? And a good album will come out. You know what I'm saying? Kira Sheardon let out an album. I was like, daggone it, I'm going to church. But every time I get that feeling, I will not tell a lie. I will not tell a lie. I feel like when I talk to when I get my therapist and I talk to my therapist, I'm going to have to talk about this thing that I have with church, because the closer the time gets that I'm like, okay, I'm going to go, my spirit is disturbed, and people will cringe to hear that, because you're going to try to throw the devil in there. But it has nothing to do with me having the devil in me. It has everything to do with y'all having the devil in y'all, because y'all can't recognize when someone is struggling. And to me, the churches, especially when I tell someone I don't really go to church too much, I just can't deal with, and they get to immediately, well, my church, my pastor's like this and my pastor's like, instead of asking, well, what's going on with you? I would think that would be the first. Break it down for me. What exactly is happening with you? And then trying to, at that point, talk to me and gain that relationship with me, and then probably bringing me, the first thing they do is jump to the defense of, well, my church is different because my pastor does this and my first lady does that and my co-pastor, and it's like, okay, because for me that automatically puts you in that same, you don't care about what's going on with me, you just want to be able to say I brought somebody to church.
And sometimes, there's that. And I think sometimes people run to the defense of the church rather than understanding what the issue is before them. I hate doing hypotheticals, but I love them so much because it gives me opportunity to be creative.
There you go.
The situation that you had that day where they told you couldn't sing. If they had called you up the night before the actual event, and or if they found out about that night and they say in the morning time, Sister Clark, come meet with us real quick. We want to holler at you real quick. And you meet them in the room, and I got my little pillow here, and they say, "Oh, girl, we love you so much. We love you so much. You doing all right? You doing okay? Okay, that's good. That's good. You got a little something in your eye right there. You need to wash your face a little bit better before you come to church, but we love you." Right? And they say, we heard something from so-and-so, and we're not taking any sides. We just want to know what happened, because we want to maintain an environment where everybody gets a chance to love each other, and we don't have any miscommunication, any issues. But this is what we heard, and we just want your side of the story of what happened. And you gave your side, and you're like, okay, all right, well, after the concert, let's we can all get together and kind of talk about it and just kind of resolve this situation. If that was the course of action, what do you think? And I know it's in the moment you can't say what you would have done, but what do you think that your response might have been at that point, at that time in your life?
Going back to that time, well, let me first say this. It wouldn't have been good simply because that first part was fake. Don't come over here hugging and kissing on me when you got something weird to say to me. Just come and talk to me the way you need to talk to me. But I'll go ahead and dismiss that first part of the get something out of your eye, let's hug. If they came and they talked to me, and at the time that they talked to me, there was time for any discussions. The way that I was, contrary to what they believe, but anybody who knows me will attest to this. The way that I was, because it was just the choir director that came to me, the praise team leader that came to me alone. I would have asked, can you see if she's willing to come in here and let's see where the disconnect is?
Sure.
And then if we can't come to that resolution, the same energy you had when she was talking to y'all about me behind my back, and you knew that there was discourse, but you still let us sing every week, I'm going to go ahead and need you to let us sing this week, and we can take care of it after. Simply because of everything that was said before. The problem is, the moment you see Stephanie do something, there's a problem. But people can beat up Stephanie all the time, and you giggle about it.
Okay,
because
so I'm glad you said that. Sorry to cut you off. I'm glad you said that because what that shows is that there was already something there prior to this incident.
yes. Mm-hmm.
And so that's
That was the reason why I called her outside, if you remember. The reason why
yes,
I called her outside.
I got that part. What I'm saying is that outside of the individuals that was involved, it seems like there was something behind even where whoever leadership made a decision. There was something back there.
Mm-hmm.
Because if other people knew you and they said, nah, man, we don't even think that's an issue because she don't rock like that, right? And you know what I'm saying? So whatever it is, y'all need to work it out. You know what I mean? And let's keep it moving because we got a job to do. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing. But it seemed like there might have been something even outside behind the curtain.
For clarity, the leader, she's someone that was a childhood friend. And she told me she didn't think it went that way, but she was outvoted. You're the leader, right? But again, this group of people consisted of a couple young people that just follow behind whatever the older people say.
Mm-hmm.
You have the one who, whenever somebody's upset with me, she's upset with me too for whatever reason. And then you had the girl. And then keep in mind, this is over a guy. Which, first of all, for me, I'm like, y'all ain't never gonna see me. I did that when I was 18, 19 years old. I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? It's not that serious. And the guy and I weren't even together at the time. We were friends. We were friends. Okay. But it was just the idea of it. And because this was a group of women, because the man in this whole thing was just like, this is whatever. I really don't care either way. You know what I'm saying? But because this is a group of women, it was that catty thing that was going on, which in this situation right here at this time has no place in what we're doing. And I had been a leader before, so it wasn't like I was somebody who'd never been in. But when there was an issue, I knew how I resolved it. I never sat people out for having issues with each other. We're going to figure this out, or y'all are going to stay in y'all lanes until we get to a point where we can figure this out.
Yeah. And I'm glad I brought up that hypothetical because what that exposed was this. The church hurt is the worst when you discover there is a conspiracy or a group of people conspiring to do something to you. Now it's just not a one-off person who you just beefing with or one thing. Now this is a group, a collective.
And it wasn't the first time.
And it puts something else on top of that, right? It adds a little extra on top of that. And this is what makes it even worse. So there's levels to this. There's levels to this thing. We didn't even touch on the physical and sexual abuse. We didn't even talk about that. This is just like, situations where, a person is just emotionally damaged or the spirit is broken for whatever reason. And so, yeah, I definitely, I understand why a person would say, you know what, after going through this, it's like, how can I trust like these people? I look them in the face every week, 2 times a week. And this is how they do me. This how y'all gonna do me? I forgot where I heard that from. This how y'all gonna do me? Some movie. Dang, what is it?
It is, and I'm trying to place it right now. I was trying to catch it quick, but I know I hear it. I just can't think what it is.
This how y'all gonna do me?
Anybody watching, if you can think of it, watch it be as soon as we come off here. Like,
man, I'm gonna remember. But anyway, you asked that because this is a serious question. This is how y'all gonna do me. Not to say that you better than anybody else, but I thought we was like me, like bro, like I don't even bother nobody, like me, like you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, I could definitely understand. Like I feel it. I feel it when people say that,
And this is coming on the heels, so that there's the big picture. This is coming on the heels of, like we discussed last week, people in one church. I don't know. Did I bring it up last week? I can't remember. But I went to visit my dad in New York for a week, and by the time I came back, I missed 1 week of church. By the time I came back, I was 12. There was a rumor that I had gotten pregnant and went to New York to have an abortion, and so nobody would know and come back. First of all, so that how y'all know? First of all, okay, like this is from 12 that I'm hearing, all types of stuff said about me, and then I'm painted out to be this animal. And then I go to another state where I get a fresh start. No one knows me. I'm all good. No one has beef with me. And then the people from my first location moves to my second location, happen to start coming to the church because at the time that choir is like, we banging at that time. They come to my church and they bring all of that stuff from my church there. So now when everyone used to love me and could talk to me and could come to me, we don't know how to talk to her. She's not approachable. Hold on. I've been approachable the last 3 years that I've been here. But, oh, we heard that you used to be like this. We heard that you used to do that. So you get all of that, and then you get these group of girls that decide to click up, and I'm not a part of this clique, right? And then I am the outsider that, because I hadn't yet gotten into loads of makeups and weaves and all that type of stuff. Like I had a couple little things going on. I had a wig or two, but I wasn't really like, you know what I'm saying? So with all of this, and then what sealed it for me was that they sent my childhood friend. This is someone that I used to go to her house every day. You know what I'm saying? We know secrets about each other to this day, you know, and they decided to send that person, and she came to deliver this. And at that point, it's like, I can't trust anybody here.
Well, that's understandable. That's understandable. With clarity, that's totally understandable. And how do you go to the next place and not still feel what you felt that time when that was done to you? I mean, it's only natural that you would feel that. You would need a radical intervention, you know, in order to, in a sense, overcome, you know, that situation, because it's a trauma. I hate throwing the word around because that's how we use it all
Yeah,
willy-nilly,
everything's
but
a trigger and a trauma
the
now.
trauma,
But
yeah, but it is traumatic when you from the conspiring level, when you see that organized attack on you. That is eye-opening. It's not just like one person. It's people who got together to.
And I've never claimed to be innocent. And I've never claimed that I've never done anything wrong that may need correction. I have no issue with correction. You understand what I'm saying? I have no issue at all with that. It was just that in this specific situation, even if all sides were heard, considered, and then another vote was taken and they still decided, yeah, I'd be salty. But I wouldn't be so salty that I'm like, I can't deal with y'all forever. You know what I'm saying? I probably would have just gone home, been like, whatever, missed a couple weeks and come right back. But it was the fact that nothing I said mattered.
Everybody's mind was made up already. Yeah.
Based off of this. And then later on, when I talked to the people it came from, it's like, that's not really how this went, or whatever the case may be. And the truth ends up coming out. And then all of a sudden, well, you can't undo it. You know, you can't undo it. So with that, it makes it difficult. And again, my love for God it's wavered, but now it's stronger than it's ever been. My connection has wavered, but now it's stronger than it's ever been. And I'm going to be honest with you before we go to this commercial and get the Jay's way and be out. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm so protective of my peace, right? That I have told even Makai, you disrupt my peace, you interrupt my peace, I can't deal with you, bro. I just can't. Like, I've told everybody, I've told everybody, because I'm tired of feeling defeated all the time. I'm tired of feeling like I'm at war with myself or with outsiders all the time. And it not be paranoia. At least make it be paranoia. At least give me paranoia. This ain't paranoia. This is really happening. And I'm protective of my peace. Well, I'm protective of my connection with God as well. And because of me being at this point, now that I feel the strongest connection that I've ever felt, I am so protective of it that I literally start to feel like I feel it in my body, like you don't need to go. And I don't want to be like that. It's not that I'm trying to go back every week, but I don't like feeling on edge going into a church, because I still, I guess with just like with everything else in life, certain things you haven't you haven't overcome, you know, and that level of church hurt, I guess I haven't overcome it, because now it's like, I don't trust y'all. I come in here and then y'all get to acting crazy, and I don't. It's like the addict that thinks that they've made it, or the alcoholic that thinks they've made it, but the real true test is going to that party where there's all that alcohol and you still saying no. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like my connection is solid, but I don't know if I'm ready to test it yet by allowing a church body to, you know what I'm saying, interfere with what's going on. And that's what I think people need to hear and understand, that I know I'm not alone. I know there are some people, they're afraid of, not you, but they're afraid of you, the church body, and what you might do to destroy their connection. There are people like me out there.
Yeah, that's definitely understandable.
And again, this is not me telling anybody don't go to church or whatever the case may be. It's not that. If the Spirit moves you to go, then by all means go. I just gave my mom the car. I missed 2 shifts that I could have made some money on. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I know you want to go to church. Go ahead and take my car and go. I have no problem with people going to church, but I just think there needs to be an understanding beyond, oh, it's just church hurt, as to why some people, I can't speak for everyone, with some people, there are people who've had experiences like mine that can relate, and they're just looking for someone to say, I get it. And then making that one-on-one connection. I thank people like you and Cheryl, because when I was going through the part where my faith, my belief, all of that was wavering, there were little things that you said, not directly on, I know your faith is wavering, but whatever. But when I talk and I'm saying, this is what's going on in my life, has nothing to do with church, nothing to do with God. But you guys coming back and saying something that, even if it's not a Bible verse, I know where y'all get it from. You know what I'm saying? So those connections kind of made me feel like, okay, it's safe to talk to individuals. It's the group I can't rock with right now.
Mm-hmm. And I totally understand that. I totally understand that.
With that being said, we're going to go to our commercial, and then we're going to have Jay's Way after that, and we're going to wrap this up afterwards. So y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. Make sure you go to melanatedverses.com and buy my books, because every week I'm about to play these same commercials till I start seeing some real numbers coming in.
She thought walking away was hard to do, until walking away led to truth. Discovering a peace that was hovering, but never before allowed to enter her soul. She thought she'd grow old and even cold. If life continued on the trajectory it was headed, complacency seemed inevitable, until she took a look at herself and said, I'm betting on you. Exploring new worlds and new views, different energies and attitudes. Allowing her heart to be open, it became consumed by what could be described as a fantasy, far from tragedy, no. A dream that if told in a story would seem too good to be true. Taking the form of perfection, physical frequencies felt through erections, emotional energies flowing like oceans. Ocean brings forth life anew, birthing art inspired by Mahogany's muse. "30 is only a dream away, and Jess Copeland can feel it. Her unexpected journeys are filled with unpredictable obstacles, but she finds escape in her poetry. However, each rhyme she creates reveals that her life's path is still unwritten. Rather than face the unknown in fear, Jess cherishes a sense of peace in knowing every day she's given a blank page to fill with lines of her destiny, however colorfully chaotic it may be.
Allow me to proceed with this hood drama, this ghetto saga. Turn off the lights and bring out the candelabra. 'Cause everything I'm about to tell you is the truth. On my mind. Welcome. What up? This is another segment of Jay's Way, not my way, but Jesus's way. We talked today about church hurt, and I got to hear from the sister, just a verse, exactly her experience, and it made me think a little bit more about my responsibility as a believer in Christ. We are near the date in which Christians around the world celebrate Easter, which is the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And at this point in time, we commemorate his life and his death, and we celebrate it. Why? Because this individual came here to this earth proclaiming that he was God in the flesh. And he did many amazing things and lived a very meager and humble life up until 3 years of his ministry, where he started to tell people that the kingdom of God is at hand. Now, majority of scholars, whether secular or religious, agree, and these are individuals that study history and archaeology, that the man Jesus Christ did actually live in the region of Palestine, and that he died somewhere between 30 and 33 AD. His life is attested by secular historians such as Josephus and Tacitus. He was crucified, given the death of a criminal, actually a hated criminal. To be crucified was the worst thing ever. Like, you're trash if he was crucified. He was given a criminal's death, and he was buried inside of a rather religious man's tomb. And somehow the grave was empty. The tomb was empty. And that spread all over. And this same Jesus who claimed he was God appeared in bodily form to all his friends, to the homies, to family, and to other people. Almost, as it records, 500 plus people saw him. And he talked to them and spoke to them about the things that would come. And then he ascended to heaven, where us as believers look towards him to that day where he will come back and take us and then rebuild this place and make it new and set things right. And so with that information, as a believer, as a Christian, we should be humble and we should be gracious and charitable, knowing that people who are sinners, just as we are, they are not sat aside as other people. These are people that are found worthy because of Jesus' death for salvation. And so we should conduct ourselves in the most gracious and kind, loving way, understanding that, it's about faith and not about our moral, our moral things that we do, all our works, and that we should love one another because of what Jesus desired for us to do. And it's really simple. It's not difficult. We make it hard by just trying to be corny, trying to be like you've reached and arrived deity. And so we need to take care of our people who have been hurt by us. We need to go find those individuals and we need to talk to them and apologize and make it right. So that way these individuals don't have to live with this hurt anymore. That's our responsibility. That's what we should do. We should be careful with our words. We should watch how we say things to people. And when we say things and we realize in the instant that we were wrong, to immediately go to the person and say, yo, my bad. Did I hurt you? If I did hurt you, like, I'm so sorry. And I hope that this doesn't, cause you any pain and suffering. And what can I do to make it right? Restitution. That's one thing that I think we've forgotten. Restitution, paying for damages, right? Making things right. That's just what it's all about. That's why we get excited about Jesus coming back, not so we can just escape here and go in the clouds somewhere and hang out and eat grapes and mangoes and all that. No, this is about setting things right bringing justice to the world. And as believers, we must do the same thing too. So
I have nothing else to say. Tune in next week, guys. All three of us will be on, and Ed Clark may pop in, depending on if the twins allow him to, because he wanted to speak on it. I thank you, Jay, for coming and talking and having this candid conversation. Again, I'm being vulnerable and using myself as an example for these conversations that we're having, but I'm doing it because, like I said, I know I'm not alone. Everything that you think you're the only one doing or feeling, there's other people. So I'm just, hoping that I can help those that have had similar experiences or can relate in some way. And I'm also hoping that these conversations will open the eyes and the hearts of those on the other end, that seeing these people go, and how there might be other ways to approach it besides, damn you, you're going to hell because you're not here.
Yeah. And that's not even true. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
Stop being corny, yo. That's what I'm trying to say, yo. Stop being corny, man. Stop. Don't be corny. Like, love Jesus, love people. Don't be corny, yo. We ain't got time for that, man.
We ain't got time for that. For real. So I thank you. I really thank you, because I knew I was gonna get something different from you, and I love that each conversation is different because we all have different personalities and thoughts. So thank you so much. As a reminder, UVV TV has the lineup. On Mondays, we have UVV TV Rewind. Wednesdays, 8:00 Eastern, we have Unvaccinated Voices. Thursday PM, we have It's Just a Conversation. Friday, the Hintons. It has started. We started this last Friday, so we have them. Sundays, 1:00, we have Sunday Jazz Brunch powered by YouTube. Sunday at 2:00, we have Eddie Clark's NASCAR Minute. And our monthly lineup is We'll Talk Again, Eddie's NASCAR Minute, plus UVV TV Comedy Corner. They're all going to be starting this month. So if you don't catch us when we're live, by all means, please subscribe to UVV TV. Don't forget the quotes. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and all of that type of good stuff. And one day these messages, listen, if it reach one, I'm good, but if it can reach more, then that would be awesome as well. So please help us out by doing these things so that we can get these conversations out and have some good convos. Okay. I'm going to see you again next week. You know what I'm saying? But in the meantime, my brother, go ahead and kiss on my baby, and then give Shannon a big old hug, and then you can squeeze her butt a little bit. And you have
I'm down for it.
She'll be like, so Stephanie told you to squeeze my butt. Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Sure,
she know you said that, like, before I did.
She probably be like, yeah, she did. She probably told you to do more, didn't she? But it was a pleasure as usual. I'll see you next week with Cheryl and Shay, and all of that type of good stuff. And we are out of here.
Remember, you can find It's Just a Conversations and so much more at melanatedverses.com. Also, follow me on social media platforms at Melanated Verses.
This is just a conversation. Everybody do no more than observation. They're telling us to be patient, but we won't take you people not big and complacent. We cannot erase us. That's part of history and all our innovation. We're just having conversation. Everybody do no more than observation. This is just a conversation.